Okay, hello, and thank you very much for joining us again today. We've got a few little things to tell you before I start painting. This is for the Yes Live album, for the Royal Affair tour. And in 2020, Yes, we're going to do a UK, European and US tour. And it all got postponed. But the new dates are almost exactly a year from now. On the 16th of May, Yes will be starting a new tour. I mean, all things being equal, in Manchester on the 16th of May. But for the correct dates, go to the Yes website. And we will be going along with them on all the dates. At the moment, it's planned that we'll be there for all the dates in the UK, Europe, and in the USA. And if Michael doesn't manage to sell this before, we'll be taking this with us. And Martin has suggested we do a print, which is signed by the band and me. So all these things are to be sorted, and we all have our fingers crossed because that's the way things are these days. But it does look like it's going to be a year from now. We're going to be on tour with this picture with Yes, doing what we did last year, which was terrific fun. I'm really looking forward to doing it again. We have something else, and I was going to show you, and Freyja very carefully whipped them away. Do you want to explain?
Well, I did in the previous live, but I will do again. Basically, Dad and I will be doing a collaboration piece of work.
Come here. Come on, you don't have to hold it. Explain.
Dad and I are going to be doing a collaboration piece of work, and it's going to be a 3D model based on something we did when I was little. And Dad made, by the way, sorry, I can't read your comments or questions while I'm over here, but I'll get back to them. Dad made these big 3D dinosaur models, and we painted them together, and they were just made out of cardboard and tubes. But my company...
This is the dinosaurs.
Have you got that one of me standing next to them when I was about 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So we're going to do something like this again, but now we've both had a few years to draw and design animals. What we want to do is make a sort of chimera of both of our creations, something part biological, part mechanical, and part mine and Dad's designs. That's me with the dinosaur. So we want to do that kind of size, ideally. We're going to live stream a video of us working on this on my company's Facebook page, which is Courtyard Hero, which is spelled courtyard normally, and then HIROO.
We'll put the address up.
We will, but if you want to see their Facebook page, that's where all the information will be. So we're going to show you some of the drawings that we're going to work from.
Show them closer.
So you see,
check.
it's not just me who's bossy. It's Dad too.
Okay. Quite right.
But these are some of the drawings we're going to be working from. These are mine. These are mine. And you can see they're very kind of insectivorous, with lots of joints and things that could potentially move about. And if you imagine sort of something like this, or particularly I really want to do some big head crest things in sort of 3 dimensions but in panels mixed with Dad's. So of Dad's drawings we're going to be doing the sort of bug creatures. You take over.
Okay. So these are mine. And these were done for Shadow of the Beast, for Psygnosis or Sony. But we're going to do a cardboard cutout piece very quickly because it's got to be started and finished in one session, but we thought it would be fun to make them
I left my phone over there, sorry.
small as, say, a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle, or large as a limited edition print. Do you want to go back?
I'm just going to show the page that we're going to be doing this on.
Anyway, so it's going to be a combination of our shapes and textures and patterns and creatures. So a mix of biological and mechanical, a mix of Freyja's and mine. And it's to be done partly in Japanese.
Yes, so that's the other thing. If you're a Japanese speaker, you might be able to understand some of the things that we're saying. I'm going to translate as much as I can. If not, don't worry about it.
We'll do it in English as well. Okay. We haven't put that up yet as a notice on the website, but we will. The address.
Yes, we will. And everything that we film on the Courtyard site, we'll share over. So even if you miss the live, it will all be on Dad's Facebook page.
Yeah. So this is sort of getting towards being finished now. I hope in the next session or the session after it will be finished. And I will then get it scanned and post the finished scan. In fact, we might actually film that session as well, with it being scanned. It's when designing something to be built, like a piece of architecture, you have to design every aspect of it. All the shapes have to be determined in the information in a way that can be conveyed absolutely accurately to someone else. All the joints, all the fixtures and fittings, everything has to be absolutely defined. And if it is, someone else can make it and you can walk around it and say, wow, this is exactly how I saw it. And it's a wonderful process, actually walking around something that has been built. But with the painting, I often like to hold back and not give all the information, but to imply it and hint at it. So and keep it a little bit more mysterious. So at the moment this is becoming very fixed, it's very clear, and I might want to lose it a little. It started very vague, but it's kind of tightened up, and I might not want it that tight in the end. So it might I might just loosen it up again. But it's nearly done. It's very close to being finished.
I missed the names. Sorry, I keep doing that. They always go just slightly out of view. But someone asked, will it be the 2021 calendar?
Yeah.
This image.
Yeah. And it will be a print on the tour with the band. And as I say, possibly the original as well.
Kaya has asked me what my company does. And I'm just going to swoop in and say quickly, if you don't mind.
Go for it. I'm going to learn now.
So, well, my company is sort of uniquely not in a great position considering Corona, because it's an event space. It's got a restaurant, it's got a yoga studio, it's got shared offices, a gallery, and once a month we have a big art party on the first Friday of the month. I also host an art and English school there, as well as putting on my own exhibitions sometimes. I'm still working for them doing classes now, which you can join because we have adult classes as well. But basically it's an arts and events venue, and they're called Courtyard HIROO, if you want to look them up. It's a very beautiful space in the middle of Tokyo. So I hope that got me some points with my boss. Sorry, you carry on.
No, you carry on. Next question for me.
Should we take some questions for Dad? Kaya just saying wonderful. Good.
I'm going to check these and see if you're not making them up.
What's going to be going on in the top left corner?
There doesn't have to be something in every corner. In fact, in a way, I'm feeling it's kind of a bit too crowded, so there needs to be some space. I mean, there will be very tiny constellations of stars, and when this is an album cover, which will probably be from there will be the logo here.
Cengiz asked, does Electric Sheep and Guardians, do they have a connection?
Not really, no. It was, I suppose there is a kind of rock form shape that is very similar. So I'll take that back and say, yes, it looks like the same geology. Yeah. Maybe one day it will be part of the same narrative.
So we've just been asked if we've started the art centre yet, and I really want to say something about.
Come on then, get on with it.
Is that okay? Do you mind? Sorry,
No,
Mum.
no.
I hope she doesn't get too cross. Because of these talks and live sessions, it's sort of become obvious. Lots of people want somewhere to go and a physical piece of architecture of Dad's that they can see or visit potentially. And we were thinking we have one, and we were thinking that we have a space, and we were thinking, why haven't we put that in the space? And one of the reasons is it's going to be difficult to move, but also needs renovating. But at the moment, we're in very, very early stages of discussing how to move it, how to clean it up and make it nice and make it somewhere that potentially people can come and see.
We'll talk more about it.
Is that my limit?
For now. Okay. So I guess this at the moment looks sort of strangely temple-like, and I want it to look more like a place where people can live as well, a place to visit. So there's going to be a little bit of tweaking in that area. But pretty much it's done. It's just going to be moulding and shaping and tweaking, both the emotional content of it as well as the physical. Are you writing questions, girl?
I am. So someone sees a blue obscured moon in the top left corner. Is that what they think that is?
No. If I look at it closely and I find it, I'll make sure it's seen. But at the moment, it's probably a mixture of the texture of the canvas, the colour and the angle of the light.
Do you have any plans for a book of all of your work?
There's a problem with that. When would I do it? Someone may do it after I've died. That would be okay. But, you know, if I did a book that was considered to be all my work and then I went on and did another 50 paintings, I'm not going to stop.
People do it with autobiographies though, don't they?
Well, I guess they do. We might do a box set which could be augmented by future editions. In fact, you know, we are debating now whether to do a 3 or 4 book box set, because we could finish off. I'm hoping that we'll have enough pages of the next book to show you very quickly.
Someone asked, have you read Steve Howe's book yet?
I've got it and I'm reading it, yes. I haven't read it, but I'm in the middle of reading it. And I've discussed the bits I've read with Steve.
David asked if we could do face masks with the mug designs on.
That's an ambiguous thing. A face mask with a mug design could mean anything.
You know what he means.
I know what he means. Okay. Well, we've had lots of suggestions about face masks, and no doubt we might end up doing something.
The manufacturer that I usually use, I think, has run out, or they're not printing them anymore. Okay. I think because they got swamped, but we can look for someone else or keep checking in.
Okay.
How many paintings in total have you done? David asks. Have you got any idea roughly?
Roughly, I would say, it depends what qualifies as a painting. I mean, if I was counting all the paintings I've done, I would count this as one. But would I count these? Or paintings that are more detailed and more finished, but in between? So it's a difficult thing to say.
What about just canvases, roughly?
I would say of major pieces, canvas or board or whatever, paintings like Relais were done on paper, but of major pieces, about 160, I would say. Yeah.
Sorry, Paul Clark, I didn't get your Asia question. If you put it again, I might spot it. Okay. Someone else, who's Martin Dean?
My brother. But when I mentioned Martin just now, I meant Martin Darville, who's Yes's manager.
Do you sell your colour studies?
Yeah. As I've said before, it's what I do, and I don't want to sell everything, but everything is for sale. But we'll stop selling if we sell too many. I basically want to sell enough that I have the resources to build a gallery and space to keep them. So that's kind of the business plan, if you like.
Someone's asked a couple of times if you've used dye bond to paint on.
I've not even heard it unless you've said it.
DIBOND.
No.
No.
I'll check it out.
David asks, what's your brother Martin's medium?
Martin really works in 3 dimensions. He would go straight to model making. He's done drawings, he's even done album covers, but he makes models. When we did the stages, he modelled it all first.
We're getting lots of questions. They're coming in thick and fast. Sorry if I miss yours, but I think this is an important one. Will you be available to sign prints on the S Tour?
Yeah, I always do. Yeah. I say always, we've only done it a couple of times. But
We've got a request that you paint.
Yes, I will paint. But it's nearly done. There's not a lot for me to do. And if I was sitting in here working like this, there wouldn't be much to see. Although if I stood back and painted, you could, yeah.
So what do you reckon? Do you want to get the chair and do a bit of...
No, I'll paint. Am I being bossed about?
Not by me.
Well. I guess what I need to do is I need to start giving these blue silhouettes some kind of form, some kind of shape. And then, when I've done that, I'm going to work on the foreground. So, for the moment at least, I am inclined to wait. And to... When I was doing the twigs on the trees, it was a lot of very fine work. And that's really what this would take at this stage. A lot of very finicky, fine work. Or some, anyway.
Well, maybe people want to see that.
Maybe. Okay.
I'll come in closer. When do you decide to put in little people in the painting?
When?
Is that one of the last things?
I'm wandering off, aren't I?
Yeah.
Figures come in when I want to lock down the size in my mind, I guess. And it was when I designed these, they had no figures, they had no scale, no shape or size. Well, shape, but no size. So when I was drawing these, you can see in the front of it, there is figures, so that you could get an idea, or I could get an idea how big it was meant to be. So, yeah, I add figures to define scale.
Someone's just asked, I like this, could you put a little tiny creature in that only the people watching can know about?
Do you mean it's got to look so unlike it that no one else will recognise it as such?
Or maybe so tiny.
Well, I could. How about I add it in, and after you've gone, and you figure out where it was.
That doesn't sound fair.
Okay, I'm going to add a cat.
You're going to add a cat?
Yeah, but here's the problem. If it's under these trees, it would be so tiny, it would be the size of a pinhead. If it was by these trees, it would probably be about so big. So wherever I put it, it's going to define how far forward or how far back it is.
Do you want some time to look and think while we ask another question?
No.
Are you going in?
I am.
Hang on, let me get in. Oh, that's lovely.
There you go. So if anyone knows any black and white cats, it's there.
Drama cat, says Mike Flanagan.
What?
Someone wants eyeballs, Dad. Someone wants some eyes on it. What about two little tiny eyes? No? Eyeballs and ears. It's got ears.
Who are all these picky people?
You're gonna do. You're gonna have to do a painting by committee after this,
I see.
and see what happens. That might be fun, actually, if you sort of did a background and then you said, "Okay, next, do we have a tree or a rock?" Okay, next, do we?
Stop
okay,
giving
okay.
people ideas. Give me some more questions.
Okay. Have you got any tips for painting stars?
Painting stars. Yes, they're always smaller than you'd expect. So the temptation is to paint something big enough to see. But to make it work, you need to paint them so tiny, because the brightness of the white on the black will be enough to make them jump out. So I would say always do it smaller, because it's smaller than you think they should be, because it's easy to make them bigger, but it's a bore to make them smaller. So start small and learn to break up the rhythm, so that when you're painting them, unless you're copying a star chart, you don't want your hand's natural proclivity to go to some kind of symmetry. You must avoid that. So start looking at the rhythm you make as you make the stars. So I guess avoid symmetry and go small.
So I'm so sorry, I missed your name again, but I think the same person who asked if the sketches are for sale has asked if they wanted to buy one of the sketches, how do they find them? So say, for example, if someone's been watching the videos and they want to get one of the ones that you've been doing here,
Yeah.
how can they do that?
Well, we'll post them up at some point, but they could get them through the website, of course.
But how would they do that? Would they sort of ask, I'm interested in buying one of the sketches from the video, or can we put up the pictures in the shop?
We'll put them up and give them names, even if the name is A, B and C. We'll make them identifiable as pictures from the sessions.
Okay.
And of course, you can see them in the gallery in our November exhibition, which is planned.
But what it sounds like is that this person wants to know how they can get hold of them before they're sort of maybe publicly available in a shop or something like it. You know, if they've been watching the videos and...
Okay, well, we'll put them up as pictures from the sessions. And as I say, we'll make them identifiable, even if it's just by a name or a letter. And we'll put them up on Facebook as well as the website.
Okay. Someone wanted to know, what's the blue model on the shelf?
Blue model?
Yeah, so I think that paper cut out mushroom thing.
Oh, it's from a corner of a painting I did in 73 or 4 called Blue Demon. Have lots of cutouts.
Have you ever been consulted by science fiction filmmakers?
Well, we've been burgled by them.
Okay, next question. Oh, someone wanted to know, if you're nearly finished, is this the last video?
No. We'll be finished by the end of the week. And then we're going to go on and do a session on architecture and a session on the prints. And on the books too, on the new books. So we'll carry on.
Okay.
There's a lot of... I've got a lot of backed up paintings to do this lockdown, so yeah.
Okay. We're getting lots and lots of questions. Sorry everyone, I'm trying to keep up. Will asks, have you ever painted on an actual wall?
I have, yes. My first job on leaving the Royal College of Art was to design the seating at Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, and from there I got the job to do the first album cover. Ronnie Scott was managing a band called The Gun. But the job I was actually doing at Ronnie Scott's was the seating for their upstairs discotheque, where I also did the logo for the discotheque, and I did a mural on the wall. And they acquired the premises when the building next to them was damaged in a fire. And at some point, a couple of years after the opening, they had another fire. And we had a long debate with the fire department about the foam seating I did, about how flammable it was. And I said, you know, the fabric that was covering it was supposed to be at a very high level of fire retardant. And the fire officer, in the end, tested it and decided, yes, it was fire retardant. And the interesting thing for me is the building was gutted in the fire. But all the seating needed was a good session with dry cleaning, and it was ready to go. It looked untouched, undamaged. But sadly, the mural got painted over. So I have painted on a wall, but there's no trace of it anymore.
Okay, we've got lots of very good questions.
Go on, my girl.
Okay. So a couple of them are sort of related, so I might combine them. One of the questions was, what's the most inspiring geography for your work, and what's your most memorable experience of the American desert?
I do love the American deserts. Perhaps the most amazing trip I ever did was an autumn trip to the Grand Canyon and Bryce Canyon, and that was done as the season ended. We literally spent the last day in the hotel that it was actually open in Bryce and El Tovar on the southern rim of the Grand Canyon. It was the end of the season, and it was very, very cold. I mean, you think of deserts as hot places, but it's 10,000 feet above sea level, the south rim of the Grand Canyon. So that's 2 miles high. It was very cold. So that was amazing. But the most inspiring landscapes before that were the Welsh mountains and the Scottish mountains. I love walking and climbing in Scotland and Wales. Crib Goch was an amazing experience. It's part of the Snowdon Horseshoe, and it looked very jaggedy. It looked like it was straight out of Lord of the Rings. I love that. I'm not really going to finish this in front of you now because, as I say, I need to do some fiddly little bits before. But go on, Frey.
Okay. Apparently it's Rick Wakeman's birthday today.
Oh my God.
Someone said.
Happy birthday, Rick. I didn't know.
Okay. Any Patreon news? There will be.
I had because it's his birthday, I'll tell you a story about Rick. I had an exhibition in Australia at the same time. Yes, we're playing there, and Rick said, "Oh, I'll come and play at the opening." Well, I thought Rick would do it because he said he would do it, but their PR people were less positive, so I couldn't say for sure. But I told the gallery that Rick said he'd come if they got themselves a grand piano, and they did. And Rick did come, and he did play. And we have all that on film. We must do something about it one day. But I had a microphone here, and Rick was playing away, and I was talking to people, and Rick kept playing and calling me over. And I went over to see what he was going to say, and he started telling me the most dirty joke you could imagine. And he was whispering right into the microphone. And I kept saying, "Rick, I'm all mic'd up." Didn't stop him. But that was just the beginning of the story. We were talking afterwards, and he said it's a long time since he had a game of golf, and he was desperate for a game of golf. And they were about to go to Hawaii. And a friend of mine, Hank Rogers, who's publisher of Tetris, is a fanatical golf player, and he lives in Hawaii. And I said, "Okay, Rick, I'll introduce you to Hank, and you can go and play golf." So we met in a tea shop in Honolulu, and Hank and Rick talked for hours about golf. And during all this conversation, I was just sitting there drinking tea and listening, and they were talking incredibly enthusiastically about golf, which didn't interest me at all. But at the end of the conversation, Hank turned to me and he said, "Okay, to Rick, we're going to meet at the airport at this time, we're going to fly to the Big Island, blah, 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 have a game of golf." And then Hank said to me, "Roger, I'm really sorry, but that means we're going to have to cancel our trip tomorrow." And I knew that anyway, so I said, "Yeah, okay." And Rick said, "Oh, what trip was that?" And Hank said, "Oh, we were going to go and walk up to the volcano." And Rick goes, whoa, wait a minute. I'd rather go to the volcano than play golf." So that's what we did. We went and walked up the volcano, which was the scariest thing I ever did, because we were walking...
By the way, Avon, yes, I do wear hats. Carry on.
Yeah, we were walking on the crust of the lava flow, which had crossed the road. And we left it to evening so you could see where it was glowing. And this crust was not that solid. You could tread on it and it would crumble. And, it was liquid lava below. Well, no one went right through, but you would go through little bubbles and it would be scary and unbelievably hot. And that took us 2 hours walking up the crust of the lava flow. That's just Rick did comment that this could be the end of his career. Anyway, happy birthday, Rick.
Apparently it was Bill Bruford's yesterday as well.
God, you guys are very economical in pacing your birthdays.
Someone said Roger Dean art would make a brilliant crazy golf course. Or Roger Dean crazy golf course would be amazing.
No.
I think that would be good though, because if you had one of those houses with the grass over the top and it's all those sort of curvy shapes.
You shouldn't be encouraging people.
I think it all adds to it.
Yes.
They haven't copyrighted these ideas. Someone asked, were your designs used in a Clockwork Orange?
My brother's. Martin did some ideas for the Clockwork Orange. I did a bunch of designs that weren't used. Martin did a bunch of designs that were used. But oddly enough, I thought my designs that weren't used eventually got used in a film that Stanley Kubrick was going to make but didn't, which was Artificial Intelligence. There was some of my stuff, it seems to be, in that. Anyway, Martin did whatever was used in Clockwork Orange.
Oh, Maddie says Deanieland.
What?
Deanieland. I'm going to write that down. That's brilliant.
No, I think we're going to need to get serious.
Lavi asks, what about a session on logos and fonts?
Yep, we could do that. Yeah. Yes, we were working on a new page of logos for my website over the weekend. So yeah, that seemed very timely. We'd like to do that. We'll work something out.
So just while I'm noting it down, a session on architecture, sessions on logos and fonts.
We can work it all out.
But it's good to do it while they're here, and then we can ask.
No, we can work it out and post it.
Yeah, okay.
That way I can just rest my brain.
Okay.
Defend myself against
I just realised
miniature golf courses.
I'm right behind you, so I'm going to move to the side so we can see what you're doing.
Oh.
Pete asks, will there be any jigsaws of your work?
Well, I guess the answer is we need to sit down and do some research and find a jigsaw manufacturer. And we thought it would be rather nice to make three-dimensional jigsaws of the robot creatures that we're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So there might be a good reason to do that research. So watch this space. We'll do both. We'll do picture jigsaws and 3D jigsaws.
Logos and fonts is a popular
Good.
theme. What are some of the reference books you have in here? What are some of the titles? I could do a little scan.
Well, I'll bring one or two over.
Oh.
Because people mentioned fonts and calligraphy, some of these books, let's turn the light a bit. This is Japanese.
This is a little bit bright. Can you move it a little further away? Or
So these books are Japanese ledgers, and I love things that are handwritten. I find them very beautiful. I've got a bunch of smaller ones that are... Can I just step behind you?
Mm-hmm. Sorry for the dead air.
Okay, so these are more Japanese ledgers, and
Up.
I find them very beautiful.
This light bleaches them out, so if you just step away a little bit from the bright light
Okay.
and show them. That's better.
And
Maybe closer up.
these are all handwritten. As I say, they're accounting books and ledgers. This is a very large one, and it's got whole sections. Often this one could be dated by the postage stamps that are in it. And they're interesting. And I love the fact that they're handwritten. I love books that show real life calligraphy. book is a logbook. It's an unofficial logbook because naval officers weren't allowed to keep them, but it's a naval log by a Royal Navy officer. Again, and I'm not really sure what this is, except that it isn't verses from the Quran. It's I think it was a herbal, a guide to plants, but I could be wrong on that.
Mohsen asked if you can read Japanese.
I know Japanese people who couldn't read those books.
I thought I'd show my kanji book, just for some comparison. This is where I'm at, guys.
Okay, so I don't know.
I should show you.
This is a book I talked to Yes about when we did Fragile, and we were talking about.
Can you show it a little bit closer?
Sorry?
A bit closer.
Yes, so when I talked to Yes about Fragile, and it having the feel of a turn of the century illustrated book, this was the book I showed them. And it's by Willy Pagani, and it's Wagner's opera, Tannhauser. There's three. There's Lohengrin, Tannhauser and Parsifal.
So it's been a little bit painting light this session. What do people have to expect next time? Are you going to be done by the next one, or what's happening?
Well, this is the cover. So
Can you get into the shot, please?
Yes. The cover will be, with any luck, I'll finish the cover next time, by next time. And it'll be just the last finishing marks, I guess. And we'll take it and get it scanned and film that bit too, but not live. We'll just add that to the footage that we post. Then we can start on the other things we're going to talk about. Any more questions?
I mean, there are tons more questions. Was there something you wanted to say?
No, get on.
Okay, I haven't. So I just want to clarify though myself. So, we can do this after, but Wednesday we're going to be here at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have you ever used cheap paint? So
used what?
Cheap paint. They've used the example Walmart. But have you ever used like cheap materials, and does it affect the outcome?
I've used expensive materials that weren't very good, and it did affect the outcome. But once, and it was a lot of fun, I was going to paint a branch into a print on a cruise ship, and the ship was in a storm, and it was moving so much I couldn't do the intricate work required to paint the branch. And I got a big piece of cardboard that was just hanging around, and I did a painting that was just gestural like that, and it became the basis for the archipelago painting. And it came out very well, those very quick movements, and the cardboard seemed to work ideally as a background. So yeah, sometimes. I mean, even good materials don't necessarily cost a lot of money. Sorry, Fred.
No, that's right.
The paints I use do. I mean, they can cost up to £10 a tube, so that's expensive. But pencil and paper, which is what I work on most of the time, the paper I use when I'm drawing is called typo detail paper, and it's not expensive. The pencils are not expensive.
Okay, as we've had a request to see more things that we've been working on as potential things for the shop, I listened to what you want, and I'm going to show you.
I've been pushed out of the way.
So this was actually something I made for Dad. Can you see? Can you see everything?
Yeah.
We were
It's a suitcase.
Yes, it's a suitcase. We were thinking of doing it in bright colours, but then I thought, what is Dad most likely to use? Probably something black and grey or silver. So we did it like this, and I think it looks really cool. And it's got this like, I can't hold both at the same time. It's got a nice belt that goes with it as well. Like this. So I'd like to know your thoughts on these as well. Okay, I'm done. Oh wait, hang on, did I answer the question? I think Irene asked what time zone. I did say, didn't I? 7 p.m. is English summertime.
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna carry on. We're gonna carry on, and if the painting's done or if we're changing the theme, we'll let you know, or it'll be obvious.
We've got a bunch of prints to finish and do, and there'll be an interior as well. So, but the painting might be finished by Wednesday, definitely by Friday.
And don't forget, the collaboration work that we're working on is going to be on Courtyard Hiru on their Facebook page, which is Courtyard, spelt
just put
normally.
it out, Fred. Just put it out.
I will, but I'm just, I'm just saying.
Okay.
It'll be on Courtyard, spelt like Courtyard, Hiroo on Facebook. Stop interrupting me! That's where we're doing it on the 30th of May. If you missed the live, we're going to share it anyway, but if you want to see us doing it live, that's where it will be. Not on Dad's, but we will share it over.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? I mean, we got time for maybe one more question. People like the idea of the masks. People like the case. I'm saying thank you, that's nice.
But you've written down questions.
I get 3 of them, Dad. I can ask them faster than I can write them. I guess one more peek at the cat. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so this was the cat, the secret little animal you requested. Where is it? Oh, here it is. There it is. Should we go in a bit closer?
We'll see if we can give it eyes by next time.
Thank you guys so much. It's always really fun.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.